I look in the mirror and what do I see? I see a beautiful me. My hair, my eyes, my nose, my mouth. Gracious, gracious, gracious me. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful me. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashli, and I'm so glad that you decided to click on this video and come spend some time with us. As you can see, I'm joined by some lovely people on this call, and we are about to have what I believe will be a really enlightening, really interesting conversation. And so I might as well just go ahead and introduce you to these people, you know, lest you hear us talking and don't know who we are. That ain't cool, yeah? All right, so we have a returning scholar, okay? Miss Marcy joining me in the yellow, all right, yes. And then we have Miss Avagay and Abby. They're over here, you know, highlighting or we're balanced. Yes. And one of the things we'll be talking about today is sort of balance in a sense. It's talking about uniqueness and how we go about navigating that. So I want to start by telling you about one of my favorite songs. It's my favorite song by the great Robert Nesta Marley, aka Bob Marley, and it's called Redemption Song. No, we have some singers in the house, and if we weren't avoiding copyright, you know, I would have them give us a rendition. But
Marcella and Abigail,
you know, bless us. But I'll just tell you a couple of the lines. So the song says, "Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds." And that is what we will sort of use to guide this conversation. One of the things that I think lots of Black women, lots of Black people need to emancipate themselves from is the way that they view each other as far as the color of their skin, the tone of their skin, their complexion, as well as how they view and approach Black hair. So that's what we're talking about. Stay tuned with us. You know, it only gets better. We'll be talking about some of our own experiences. We'll be talking about what we've observed, as well as hopefully sharing some things that we think can help. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And let us talk about, let's start with the negative. So can you think of any negative things that you've heard or experienced about skin tone?
It's too dark. That's the first one. It's too dark. It looks like it's dirty. Yeah. Can you wash it off? Yeah. Of course. These are some of the things I've heard in my side of the world. Yes.
And so that'll be an interesting and an important distinction to make. So my experience has been that race and Blackness is viewed, is lived differently in different places. So in predominantly Black countries versus in countries that are more mixed. And I think this also varies based on just the part of the world that you're in. So yes, so where would you say those experiences that you heard were predominantly from?
In Asia. So I'm currently living in a particular country in Asia. I think it's more because of the people's ignorance and because the structure of their society doesn't allow them to be able to be exposed to a lot of things that's happening outside of their country. So, you know, when I'm here or any other person that is as dark as I am or even darker, it's like a shock to them. So they'll always be asking those questions. So I wouldn't really consider them as racist. I just consider them as ignorant people who lack knowledge in certain regards.
Sounds good. And well, this might be a good point to actually talk about some of the terms that are used. Within the Black community, we tend to talk about colorism, and so that's the intra-race, if you'd have it. So being where it's the tone of your skin. And I think there can be colorism across races where it's not necessarily because you are Black of African origin, but you're just too dark for this thing, or too light to be considered this. So there's this colorism that is separate from racism, and there can be some intermingling, but so yes, any other experiences with colorism?
Yeah, so when I was growing up, persons used to call me names. Like they would compare me to things with like cornmeal, say yellow like cornmeal, or red like red ants. All kind of weird things. And it would be like persons would say sometimes that you get certain opportunities or whatever because you're red or you're brown or blah blah blah. It was just a little bit of prejudice in that regard.
How about you, Marcy?
I would say that at one point I was darker than this, right? Due to just my overall complexion, I was darker than this. Also due to me being exposed to the sun because I swim at times and get sunburned. No, and so that contributed to a darker skin. No, compared to no, and especially staying in because of the COVID-19, I've become quite light, like a Caucasian. So people will call me names like Caucasian. People will say bleachers, all those names. And I mean, when I was suffering through my skin condition severely, now it's mild. Now people would know that I have eczema, but it has done me terrible over the years. And what it usually do is cause discoloration that made me look like I bleached my skin. So just imagine living in a society where if your color is not uniform throughout your entire skin, they say that you're bleaching. And my case was not that I was bleaching, it's just that with the skin condition comes discoloration, and people just begin to discriminate. Well, discriminate, not so much an action where them would cast me out or tell me that she have bleached. Like, how some people are. Like, I go to certain places, certain churches, certain societies, and people would bash me and tell me to, and exclude me out of their churches and society because they think that I'm bleaching. But that's just my experience with skin color, and especially how I have a skin condition. So you can imagine.
So I do want us to touch on bleaching in a second or so. But one thing I'm wanting to highlight is we've talked about both the darker side and negative on that end, as well as the lighter side. And one thing that I started reflecting on, I was reflecting on with a Jamaican, was we just have this culture where it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. We just call a thing what it is, and we like to make jokes. And so if you are light skinned, your nickname is going to have something to do with you being light skinned. And if you're dark skinned, it's the same. If your nose big nose is your nickname. And it's funny, and to an extent it might help us have thick skin. But if someone continues hearing this over and over and doesn't get the positive on the flip side, then you can see where it becomes problematic on the internal. It might become it might be, hey, I'll contour my nose a little bit more because I don't want them to call me big nose right now. I'm trying to be cute at the moment. So that's definitely one of the things that I think contributes to this. Another thing that I want to highlight that Marcely said is, and I've heard this a lot in the United States, is this sort of, especially with children, parents saying, come out of the sun. I guess I've heard this in Jamaica too, but especially in the US, the reason being, I don't want you to get black like tar or black like midnight, black and ugly. So come out of the sun and all these ridiculous things. So there's that. There's this language piece is the big thing that I want to highlight. And I remember in high school, we talked about, metaphors, I suppose. Essentially why it is that all the descriptions that we use for black is bad things and all the good stuff is white.
Right.
And that's a problem. Anywho, so that's the negative, and we've talked about it being in both this predominantly black culture and in cultures that aren't predominantly black. Let's talk about hopefully some positive things that we've heard or experienced. And we actually haven't talked about hair yet. So if you have a negative regarding hair, you can bring it up, as well as positive regarding skin.
Well, I can start with the hair.
All right.
So growing up until I don't have a lot of hair, and persons used to trouble me a whole lot about that. So with the hair, my hair was short and everything, and it was of a kinky texture and whatnot, and I couldn't comb my hair in certain ways, like it's not long enough to like catch it up in one or anything like that. And you know, your parents, they would comb your hair in some very funny looking hairstyles when me growing up. So persons used to tease me a whole lot about my hair, and they would call it things like you have dry head and your head picky, and said things like, oh, it looked like pituitary draw breaks in your hair, and you know, them Jamaican slangs there. But after a while, it didn't really bother me that much. But some persons, I can see how it would have really affected them negatively and affected their self-image. And regarding the skin color now, positives. Well, I don't really see much positives, but persons who are a little bit lighter, like persons tend to favor them in a lot of ways. So persons would always be like complimenting you, like, oh, your skin nice and smooth and all kind of stuff. I know those songs that they sing about and whatnot, but yeah, that's pretty much it on the positives.
How about y'all? Hair and then skin.
So for hair, we're going with positives first, right?
Sure.
All right.
Positive, negative about hair, and then positive about skin.
So starting with the positives about my hair. So within my family, there's a bit of mixture with some ethnicity, right? And my hair is not the kinkiest. It's still kinky, but it's not the kinkiest. So in terms of positives, I've been told, oh, your hair is so nice. It feels soft. You know, they like to term it good hair. Good hair meaning because of how the curl pattern is. It's not, you know, like how they call it, the natty head. Or, you know, yeah, the tough type of hair that they like to describe it as. And I guess I see it as a compliment sometimes, but as a con now, I don't like that they're trying to say that the coolie hair or the Indian texture type of hair is what they term as good hair. That's a negative. So even though my hair isn't 100% along that line, I'll still get some good reviews, but some bad, like, oh, why is your hair like this? Because throughout my whole hair, there are different types. Some people have one type straight through, but like for the back, maybe it's 3C, for the front is 4A. So the 4A at the front is a bit more kinky. So when they see that, they're like, oh, you know, and when it shrinks a lot, you know, they're like, oh, why is it hair like that? Yeah, it's like you have to put it in a certain style for it to be appreciated. And there was some time in high school where I just always wanted my hair to be straight because of what society was portraying to me. And for my graduation day, I did just that. I straightened it. But, you know, these kings can't hold their place. So, you know, we're in a couple minutes to others, it just back to the natural state, you know. And in that moment, I said, you know, my hair is very stubborn, but I guess in another light, I saw that, you know, I just need to appreciate what I have, what's on my head. It is beautiful. It is sometimes challenging to handle, but it is still good. You know, God gave me the hair I have, and I should appreciate it no matter what anyone else wants to think about it. Yes.
And just to add on to what Abigail said too, in that when we were in high school and everybody had the cream hair thing, it was like kind of like an induction into high school. Once you reach high school, the hair of a cream, and you have to style it a particular way, and eventually after a while you grow it out or damage, so you eventually have to get rid of it. But I think a lot of us, we have the similar experiences in that regard. We all wanted the straight Eurocentric looking hair. So
well, for me, right, I never create my hair and go back natural like some people. Right, and always natural, like Abba me at all.
Yes. I know.
Options amazing enough. But the thing about it, I remember this experience in grade 7 where a classmate of mine said to me, because when they just do me twist here, and when you usually blow it out, you know, you usually reach down in my back. So she said my hair long too. So she said to another Indian girl in my class then, said, our hair long too. And then the Indian girl and her other friend said to the girl that no man, our hair not so long, and their hair not so nice, right? As the Indian girl, because the Indian girl the hair did long and so on. But I remember this comment, and as you said, like people just have this thing about it where they like a specific type of texture hair and so on, and they have this preference for certain hair, and they don't appreciate the different type of hair. To be honest, I have a nice quality hair. I don't know what to say. And others have complimented me to say that I have nice hair too. One of the experiences I have though is that they appreciate it in a certain style. So when I usually twist it up and nicely style it, people like it. No, I just like wearing my fro. Like, honestly, if me never did go some proper place like church and this and that, I wouldn't catch it up. I wouldn't want to catch it up. Let's talk about this.
Let's stick up in right there. So, one, we have this good hair, and listen, I don't know if I have a pet peeve like that. Like, all hair is good. All hair is nice. Right. All hair is professional. All hair is beautiful. Long, short, straight, whatever it might be. Whether it's shrink to an inch or it is flowing down my back, it's good. It's beautiful. It was created, like Abby said, with intentionality. Yeah. But one thing that I've been navigating in my adult years is this. Certain hairstyles are proper. Certain hairstyles are professional.
Yeah.
And I don't think that should be the case. I should be able to wear my hair to church however I please. I should be able to wake up like this and go to church because that's how he made me, right? And the same thing for work. I was for sure noticing with myself. So I usually have my hair in braids during the year, and in the summer I usually have my natural hair out saying hello to the heat, you know. And I noticed a couple summers I had a conference to go to, and I started stressing about my hair, like, oh no, I need to do something to my hair to make it professional enough. Like, no ma'am, it is what it is, and they're going to respect the work that you do because of the work that you do, and not be distracted by your hair.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things that I think we have to navigate. I actually saw, maybe a couple months ago, somebody posted on Facebook a picture of the same woman with her hair in one style. Her hair was its natural curly texture, some might call it kinky, shrinkage in an afro. And then you had the same woman, she used a blow dryer on her hair, so her hair was straighter. And the person said, which of these would you hire, or would you have a problem if both of these persons came to you? And I saw Black people, Black women saying, I mean, her hair's cute both ways, but she's going on an interview, so she should comb the hair, she should restrain the hair, she should put it in a cage, essentially. Yeah. And I was like, you know. So right now, at this point in my life, I am viewing my hair very much often as a rebellion. Before we jump on, because I want to talk some more about self-love and appreciation and what have you. Do y'all have any other comments in regarding that?
Just a point to add. I think just like certain things are instilled in a person from home or in their community, the whole issue with colorism and texturism is kind of taught to them in a way. Because it would all come back to the days of colonization, when those that were deemed superior, or the slave owners, you know, they looked a certain way. And so, you know, generation after generation, that's still the thought in the back of their minds. I think that's the whole point of how creaming the hair or perming your hair came about as well, to try to get to look like them. And then, of course, you know, they were of a much fairer color. So the thought of bleaching your skin to try to look like them, because that's just the thought that they have, that to be superior, you need to look this way and so forth. And I think, you know, in our country, well, in Jamaica particularly, you know, most of the school systems still recognize that superior mindset in a way, because there are some schools in Jamaica, you know, that don't allow you to twist your hair, to have your hair in rope twists, because they deem it inappropriate. To have your hair in locks, whether or not you're a Rastafarian, they think it's just not acceptable. It's not okay. Yeah, and some places they'll require you to wear hats, you know, for different reasons. But there's a root of it all, and I think it goes back to the days of colonization.
I'm in total agreement with Abigail, because the type of society that we live in, as you said, it's one where you really have to have a very thick skin because of how persons interact with each other. And it's something that we get used to from we're children. So it's just like commonplace to us. Sometimes we're discriminating against others, and we're placing certain stigmas on them because of their appearance, and we don't even realize it, because it's something that we're taught in schools, we're taught in church, we're taught in our homes.
I was thinking about and seeing this as a positive, that most schools don't allow females to wear extensions and different color hair and whatever. And so in a sense, you could think of it as them encouraging you to embrace your natural hair. But then, like Abby just said, you have the flip of some schools saying that certain Black hairstyles aren't accepted. So We're between a rock and a hard place.
Just to touch on a point that you made with the type of media. So even in the local media though, if you're looking at local advertisements and local shows and so on, most of the times when you look at the person who they use in these advertisements, it's not a person that most of us can relate to because they don't look like us. It's usually the brown person, the fair person you can almost pass off as Caucasian. They usually have those texture hair that is long and it's curly and whatever, and so it's not just the international media, it's something that we within our society even see and perceive as beauty. So it's not just influence from there.
And I think we have this regular conversation when there is Miss World or Miss Universe or any Miss.
Yes, I was about to check that point.
We do.
When you look through the history of those that have been chosen to represent Jamaica, it's not what, majority
Most
of Jamaica really looks like,
All right. Well, we've talked a bit about the effects of these things, colorism, texturism. We mentioned bleaching, this poor self-love or low self-esteem, and sort of this discrimination. Before we move on to what we can do and what we've seen so far, are there any other effects that you've seen? And, if anybody wants to talk about bleaching some more.
Bleaching is something that is very widespread in Jamaica, and honestly, I think that persons who bleach, you have to have a very, very low self-esteem to really engage in these type of activities. And you hear the stories and you really wonder if these things actually happen. Persons saying that they put on the cream and they wrap up themselves in plastic and they dress in how much layers of clothes and sit in sun or they sit in AC. They don't bathe for a particular amount of time because they want to come fast and all kind of foolishness. So you have to really wonder, like, how their negative self-image, it really trumps everything else, that they can put themselves through so much pain and expose themselves to so many potential health issues just to get a particular look. And honestly, it's something that we need a lot more public education on, because even though you don't really see it as much these days, it is still very prevalent in certain sectors of society, and it is still very much endorsed in a lot of the music that we listen to and so on. So it's a real problem. So, from high school days we hear these music, and even the type of music that was produced in the past, people always talk about how them love them browning and everything is about brown skin and brown this and brown that. So it's time now that we move away from these things and really just try to teach persons to love themselves as they are, because it doesn't make sense to be bleaching and damaging your skin just to look a particular way. And as you go back out in the sun, you revert to your regular complexion.
Point I would add to what I've noticed, especially in Jamaica, a lot of the men, they prefer light-skinned women. So apart from trying to get a job or, trying to get something for yourself in a certain area or place that prefers a lighter skinned person, the men too, the black men, they kind of, I don't know what it is about the brown skinned women that they prefer, because I've personally had that experience where I've had a crush on someone and they didn't want me because I was black. They were blacker than me, but they preferred, and they said it out aloud, they prefer a lighter skinned woman because they consider that to be pretty. So I think some women, that's another reason for why they choose to bleach their skin, because they want to please a guy. Yeah,
and
unfortunately,
on
that's
that
the case.
point that Abby just made as well, we usually see that a lot, like a darker skinned guy or a darker skinned girl, they will prefer to date someone lighter than them because they say, oh, my pitney needs to come out with a acceptable skin tone, or them need to, if I have bad hair, I go have to date somebody with cool hair, and I'm just like, oh dear, because my child needs to have the nice hair, and I'm just like, so that is something that actually happens indeed.
I think it's a matter of the socialization of society, of the socialization due to society. So society will tell you that them love brown skin. The music will tell you that them love browning. They don't necessarily applaud or praise black skin ladies, especially dancehall music. Reggae music, you would see them use, as you said, the dark skinned ladies to do their music videos. But when it comes on to lyrical content, they want to talk about ladies that are flawless and with flawless skins and so on. It is due to socialization. It is due to what people have learned over the years, that brown skin is pretty, brown skin is something that is acceptable, brown skin is something that will get you to the top, brown skin is something that will get you a certain profession. All of those things. It's just a socialization, and people have internalized this for a long time, from dating back from plantation time until now. And it has been, like what people say folklore, where they pass on stories via the mouth. No, stories have been passed down, but it does not paint black skinned persons in a perfect light to say that they are perfect with their skin color and they can be acceptable in society. It's the other way around. We accept brown, we think that brown is perfect. And that's why we have this whole culture of people bleaching
Brown
their
people
skin.
or lighter skinned people, they bleach as well. So I believe that those persons are probably even more irrational than the darker ones who bleach, because it's like they're trying to look a particular way and they already sort of have that skin complexion that they're trying to achieve. So why would you go and bleach? What else is there to do? What else is there to look like? It's really irrational, but in their minds, I think it probably makes sense to them, because as we said before, beauty is all about perception. So if you look at yourself and you decide that, okay, you have to white like chalk to be pretty, then that is why persons would do it. But it's irrational thinking to everybody else, but to them it's perfectly okay to do that.